Hello. All right, every week it's always a roll of the dice to see if I got all of these things correct. So I guess I'll find out soon if y'all can't hear me. But hello, welcome to today's live stream. My name is Tracy Lenz. This is a special Friday edition. Normally this is on Tuesdays. This is a special Friday edition of our office hours, which we provide to any client or anyone who comes across us on YouTube to answer questions, explain news events, really anything oil and gas related. We're happy to cover, or I'm happy to cover, I should say. It's just me here today. Hello, Lori. Hello, Eric. All right. How are y'all doing today? It's a good Friday for everybody. Again, we have a crew that kind of comes every Tuesday, and I'm curious if they make it to this special Friday one. So on Tuesday, the reason it was a last minute cancel was, or a last minute postponement, I should say, was my daughter. So it was Monday night, and we were at dinner, and my daughter's like, "So our Thanksgiving dinner is at school tomorrow. Y'all are coming, right?" And in my head, Thanksgiving is ages and ages away still on Monday, because, more than a week. And I was like, wait, it's Tuesday? Why wouldn't they have it like the Thursday or the Friday before Thanksgiving? Anyway. And I was like, well, Sid, how important is it that I go? Like, if Daddy can go, like what, a scale of 1 to 10, how important to you is it that I go? And she's like, well, for you and Daddy both to go, a 10. She's 9, or almost 9, by the way. So, yeah, so that said, I canceled it and moved it and went to her Thanksgiving lunch at school and had a very happy 9-year-old. And so that was the urgent personal matter that made it move to Friday. If you are not subscribed to the channel, I do post on the community tab, and that should have it show up in your YouTube feed when we change the time or if something happens. I feel like y'all are really low. I'm going to try. I have one of those standing desks that I can move around, so y'all might feel like the earth is shaking for 1 second. This feels... There we go. Okay, so the plan for today. Again, if you have questions, please put them in the chat or email them to me, and you can ask anonymously that way, and I can read it and either address it on live, address an anonymous version of it on live, or if there's files you need to send for us to look at together, that's fine too, whatever you're comfortable with. If there is just an easy question, if you just want to have me talk about a certain subject, go ahead and put it in the chat, and I can hit that way. We are still taking questions. The plan for today was to hit some news stories, like not a lot of news stories, but just enough. I usually like to take a look at what oil prices are doing, if there's any major like key takeaways for the week, and then also if we have any news on the company side. Since this is my live stream, I get to talk about my company stuff. So sometimes the team gives me things that they're like, hey, make sure you plug this, or hey, make sure you let people know about this. That's a new feature that we have. So I try to do that. I'm not always the best at being, Mrs. Saleswoman. Yeah. That's why y'all love me, right? Okay. Also, if I just run out of things to do, we can either end the stream early, we can do a Wordle together. I figured out how to do Wordle on stream. And I also have filler music. I can look around when I'm finding stuff on the map. Okay. So let me actually pull up, let's see. I like to try different sources for displaying commodity prices and stuff. So I have all of my methods that I pull in our commodity prices for our own internal use and for our own internal analysis. This is also the commodity prices that feed into our online model. That commodity price, like we have our views that I have for that to QC that, but I try to find different ways to display the data for this to show you how you can be looking at the same thing that I'm looking at and how I'm interpreting the public resources for things. Most of our resources that we pull in for pre-con estimate purposes and for our model purposes are public, but in case they aren't, I always hate to be showing something that y'all don't have access to or that's paid access or something like that. So when possible, I try to pull the public version, but that does make it look a little messier on live stream. So just know that I do have my act together a little more behind the scenes than it probably looks like on live stream. I will go ahead and share my desktop. You can kind of see what I'm doing. And we'll go to Vegas where it's good position for y'all. And let's check out what the market's doing just today. So for gas pricing, like natural gas pricing, so whenever I say gas on this live stream, I'm going to be referring to natural gas, not gasoline. It's very rare that I'll say gas and be referring to gasoline, even though in the normal world, that's usually what people are talking about. If I'm referring to oil prices, I'd say oil. I probably wouldn't say crude, but maybe. But I wouldn't say gas as in gasoline referring to oil. That gets confusing to some people sometimes. So just for clarity, that's what I'm talking about. I like to do natural gas intelligence for natural gas. This one does have a paid portion of it, but there's a lot that's free online that doesn't require logging in even. So when it comes to anything gas related, natural gas intelligence tends to be one of my more favorite like consolidators. I don't know the full story of what's happening behind the scenes on pricing for the indexes. So when you look at Bloomberg and they say, here's the natural gas prices, and they say something like Henry Hub, they're saying what the gas price is at one particular point in Louisiana. That's what it's selling for. Now, all across the country, natural gas needs pipelines in order to get it different places. And so because it's hard to transport natural gas, the regional pricing is very important. So that's the basis index. So if the index that your gas is being referred to is wherever is local to your pricing, like your production. There's going to be a special pricing for your area. So for example, if you're in an area that has access to a lot of different people who want to buy gas, you're going to have a different pricing than an area that has not many people who want to buy gas. So usually the key in things that fluctuate there is if you're in West Texas, there's a whole bunch of gas available and it's very warm with a low population. So there's not a lot of people needing to heat their homes using natural gas. And so what tends to happen is there's too much gas prices plummet, and then you have a glut of natural gas, and you sometimes have to pay for someone to take your gas. So very low gas prices sometimes can happen relative to the rest of the country. While in Appalachia, the East Coast, that's very dependent on weather because there's a whole bunch of people, right? But there's also a whole bunch of gas. And so if weather is warm, you tend to have lower gas prices because there's less people who want to heat their homes with that natural gas. While if weather is cold or you have a cold snap that comes through, if the entire East Coast is freezing, then natural gas is in high demand. And so that natural gas pricing for the East Coast fluctuates based mostly on weather. The bigger trends kind of fluctuate based on weather forecasts. And then everything else is kind of based on more global demands, like is that particular area able to get their gas to LNG markets and whatnot. So that's the rambly version to say that natural gas intelligence helps kind of dissect all of those different regional markets that are happening. So where I was going is I don't know why it's such a hush hush thing to not have this publicly available. A couple years ago, I was able to easily get Waha, which is the West Texas like kind of main index. I was pretty easily able to get what Waha was selling for. However, about a year ago, they like locked it all down. Like all the places that it was available, suddenly it went away. And so apparently somebody has decided that that is their proprietary information. And again, I'd love to hear the backstory. If anyone knows the backstory or has an article to the backstory or knows the person who knows a person who knows a person with that backstory, please send it to me somehow. I would love to hear it. I've done all the researching I can to try to figure out why this is not more publicly available, considering that it affects everybody who's getting paid for those items, which includes, okay, it'd be one thing if it was just private markets, but that also includes states, governments, the federal leases, local county governments local county production taxes. It seems like there's quite a bit of public interest in what things are being priced locally. So I'm just surprised that it's not more publicly available what natural gas is going for on all the different hubs. But regardless, for where it is now, like kind of taking it what it is now, this is these different numbers and names are the different hubs. So it's kind of like they trade it kind of like stocks and company. Let's see. So I did see a news story earlier this week on natural gas might be trying to break out, that, hey, maybe we are seeing some positive trends in natural gas. And let's see if they had a nice summary article on that. 19 hours ago. This is saying shrinking future supplies. This is based on EIA data, it looks like. Yeah, weekly EIA, lower 48 working gas storage. So EIA is the U.S. Energy Intelligence Agency, and they keep track of how much energy the U.S. has to work with. That helps guide a lot of things, because if they're tracking how much energy the nation can run on, and because that's security right there, we can use that for a lot of things. We can use that for reserves prospecting. We can use that for pricing of any like commodities in general. Gemini, no, thank you, Gemini. Does anyone use Gemini? I've been trying to compare the different AI engines, and so far I keep going back to ChatGPT, but I've heard good things about other AI engines. Microsoft's Copilot always seems to be lacking versus ChatGPT, but I do like their security, because if you do the enterprise Copilot, it's only using your data, and then it saves it. Your data is saved to your cloud, while anything you put into, like, your data is only used for your analysis. It's not like put into a generic pool of training. While ChatGPT, if you're using the logged in version, it's kind of all being used to train. You get the benefit of other people's training, but yeah, I've also used like Roland AI, which is the landman version of a training model, which also puts, I think, your own data in its own little bucket. Yeah, nothing has quite given me the same results as ChatGPT, so still waiting. I've heard, was it the one that starts with a C? Anyway, that's rabbit hole. But going back to this. Let's see. Natural gas slipped on Thursday as traders sought direction from indecisive weather forecasts. So, yeah, it looks like weather is being not cooperative when it comes to natural gas prices. But let's look at whenever I come here on a live stream, I can never find exactly what I'm looking for right away. It's like I have an eye blindness whenever I'm streaming. Let's see. Okay, Iroquois, is it Iroquois? I know that's an Indian name, or Native American name. that's a certain index. I believe that one is the Northeast, like near the Canadian border, Niagara Falls kind of area. Well, yeah, it looks like they don't have the nice summary available on their free version. So we use the fixed forward, these forward price for our models, by the way. So we have a forward curve of not just what Henry Hub is going to be. We have a forward curve projection for every index that we're using in both our appraisals and the model. The data suite. I wonder if I guess they don't have like a summary of what's available free. I don't need data. I just want like monthly or something. Okay, well, that's probably enough on gas. My favorite for oil, similarly, there is an oilprice.com. It's okay. It tends to be a little sensationalist when it comes to news stories, but it does have a good, compact view of the different pricing of things. So West Texas Intermediate. We'll look at the all charts. Breaking news: Venezuela doubles down on energy alliance with Russia. Oh, I should do my news report name here. Breaking news: Venezuela doubles down on energy alliance with Russia. I even have a little like news background, but I don't have it set up for my. I always get comments that my music's too loud, so I'm hesitant to like keep it on too long, but I think that's a fun. Sorry, I'm nerding out right now. I'm just gonna ignore that. It's officially Christmas, I guess, because we had the Christmas cups. I host Thanksgiving though, so I just can't go into Christmas mode before Thanksgiving. I have to stay in Thanksgiving mode or else I forget to like buy turkeys and stuff. Although we have considered putting up the tree and decorating it in Thanksgiving decorations because I have Thanksgiving garland and like leaves and pumpkins and stuff. Okay, so So 1 month we are looking pretty low. So 57 is a low price for where we've been, like 60, between 60 and 63 has been kind of where we've been bouncing for the last 6 months or so. If I go to 1 year, that would show. Sometimes when I go to this site, the graphs are broken, which is also why it's like, sometimes for me. Here we go. That's a nice YouTube-friendly view of it. Although y'all get my advertisements. So, yeah, if between 60, 63, ever since last April or so, the last year, we had a couple runs up into the 70s, but we've been really bouncing into 60s to low 60s. And lately, there's been a downward trend here. I don't want advertisements. Then if we, they have blends. Is this new? Okay, well let's compare the different Texas blends just real quick. I'm mostly curious. So usually what controls oil pricing when it comes to different blends is the components of the hydrocarbon chains in the blend and also the other things in the oil that can decrease the pricing. So these first two, West Texas sour versus intermediate. Sour means that there's hydrogen sulfide in the oil. Hydrogen sulfide, okay, this advertisement, stop. Okay. Hydrogen sulfide is the thing that smells like rotten eggs, and if you're ever driving around an oil patch, and that is in extremely low concentrations that you can smell it, and then it usually doesn't take a whole lot to be present in order to start corroding pipes, in order to start breaking seals, in order to start making it deadly. I think it's like 10 parts per million is when the little alarms go off to let you know that you should leave that area. Okay, this site with the I might have to just, if I move it like that. Well, the oil field that I was working in West Texas at one point had, I think it was 25,000 parts per million in the gas stream in places. A lot of times this happens in water floods. You get a lot, or anytime there's been water injected into the reservoir for whatever reason. Now we inject water. Okay, we're just going to switch to this because it refuses to not leave ads. When they inject water into a reservoir, you have the opportunity to inject bacteria with that water, and sometimes that can cause sulfate-forming bacteria to breed and become worse and worse and worse over the years. So a lot of times these old water floods have a lot of that sulfate. Is it sulfate producing? Sulfate reacting? I think it's SRO. No, it's been more than one night of sleep since I looked at this stuff, but it's the sulfate forming bacteria. As you kind of recycle that water, you just it's dirty water that's getting dirtier, basically. And so you get more and more of the sulfates forming, and then that's binds to the hydrogen, and then you get H2S. And so that H2S is really corrosive and deadly. And so a oil that has a lot of this sour component to it, and there's a threshold, but it's pretty low, it's going to be worth less than oil, the exact same oil without that sour component. So let me clear this. And so that's what we're seeing here. West Texas sour is going for about $2 less than West Texas Intermediate. Intermediate being kind of the in-between of a light and a heavy oil. So light oil is kind of like your gasoline that you pump into your car. Heavy oil is kind of like that tar that gets stuck to baby ducks. If you think of, not quite like tar pits of like California tar pits level, but it could be in a Dawn commercial, if that, gives you a feel for what a heavy oil is like. And most areas, they do have the mix of sweet and sour, Gulf Coast light versus Gulf Coast. Yeah. Light oils tend to be worth a little less than heavy oils just because there's, yes, it's more like gasoline, but there's less of the thing that makes it heavy is those complex chain hydrocarbons that you can really, they have a lot of heating component to it. So you can really break them out into a lot of things. It's just, there's more molecules worth more in the heavy oils. So up until a certain point, and then it gets too heavy to be worth, you kind of have to do other stuff to it to make it worth more. So that's also why I'm just going to ramble until we get, hopefully this is valuable to y'all. But if we get any questions, that's it's funny. Sometimes we get like 30 questions and sometimes there's none. So I like to leave the room for the questions. But when there's not any, y'all just get like Tracy's TED Talk of the day. So your natural gas liquids on checks that you might see plant products or natural gas liquids. That is like a really, really light oil, if you want to think of it like that. And so sometimes it's equivalent to a light. Sometimes you get really heavy components in those natural gas liquids just because of the makeup of the gas or maybe how the plant's processing it. But a lot of times it is more primarily ethane and propane, like kind of those really light components, the things that maybe they aren't the most expensive things per barrel per gallon to buy, and so they aren't going to compare necessarily to a gallon of oil, but they are priced close to it. So a lot of times we'll see those natural gas liquids going for about 40% of what like a barrel of like regular oil goes for. So if West Texas sour, West Texas intermediate's going for 60, you could probably expect about what's 40% of that? We'll just say something slightly less than 30. All right, right, like 27, 25, somewhere in there. And that's dollars per barrel, and dollars per gallon would be that divided by 42. So a lot of times you'll see like cents, like when you see the volume pricing, so the pricing that was realized for that NGL or that plant product is often less than $1 per whatever unit, and that's because the units are in gallons. And as a side note of this side tangent, a lot of times I see them saying that the statement itself is in barrels, but really it's in gallons. And the way you know if it's gallons or barrels is that pricing column. If it says something in the 20s, it's barrels. If it says something less than $1, it's gallons. So just know that I see that wrong all the time. It must be some setting with EnergyLink, which is the company that people use to distribute that data to the people getting paid. There was one more thing I wanted to look at on this. I wanted to compare like different parts of Texas and see if that made sense. So a South Texas light, 51, Gulf Coast light, about 51. Those are the only two light oils. East Texas sweet. Okay, we'll compare East Texas sweet of 54 to North Texas sweet of 57. Why would North Texas be $3 higher than East Texas? Most likely it has to do because East Texas and North Texas, I would say they aren't that far from each other, but they're like a day's drive from each other. It's most likely the components in it, as we talked about, but there could be starting to get a component of, well, let's see. If North Texas was lower than East Texas, I would say it's probably location, being a little more stranded. But East Texas should have the easiest market because you're close to the Gulf. Like you can transport oil very easily. There's a ton of pipelines going into that Gulf Coast region area. It's really easy to get oil in and out of the Gulf Coast area. While North Texas, you're getting more into the plains and more into a lower population. There's a lot of pipelines, but just not as many as the Gulf Coast. So I don't think it is location. This would most likely be the blend, like that specific component blend that's happening East Texas versus North Texas. And my guess is that the East Texas one has a lot of the like the gas plays that have oil associated with them. You tend to have a more a lighter oil than, so when it comes to, there's different scales of light, right? You have an even lighter oil when you have a lot of gas than, and so I bet the Haynesville kind of gas plays are influencing that to be lighter than it would have been otherwise. Okay, there's so many ads. Okay, that's one thing, you will not find ads on our site because we probably should. I don't know. I just feel like it makes us seem like we are, influenced by that advertiser. So even on our tracks themselves, we do have like a little like friends of section, but they don't pay us to be on here. So again, they probably should, but they don't pay us to be on our Connect. This is just people that we enjoy working with. Okay, moving on. I think this is a great segue for some of the new features that we have in Pecan Estimate. So the main ones being, we have our activity graph. I think I covered this last week, so I won't go into this too much, but this is our early stages of showing visually the new wells that are coming online and what's happening where. This also works per tract. We have our upside drilling potential. So if you are a portfolio subscriber, you can see the breakdown of your entire portfolio aggregated together by reservoir, by risk category. So proved developed, non-producing, proven undeveloped, probable undeveloped, possible undeveloped, and then how that's coming together. So for this particular hypothetical portfolio, it's mostly spread between Green River, which is Utah, Barnett, which I think for this example, it's the Barnett in the Dallas area, not the Barnett in the Midland, Odessa area, and Haynesville. There's a little bit in the Bossier, which is right above Haynesville in terms of target, but most of it is in those categories, and it looks like there are some wells about to come online in the Utah area for this particular portfolio. So it gives us a nice feel for what we're looking at. Portfolio as a whole, we're looking at about $13,000 per acre, which is high. So this is a very, this is my demo portfolio, so I chose things that are in active areas that make sense. So anything above 5,000 an acre, I would say, is in a very active area. And so this is per net mineral acre, so depends on how things are leased also. Quite a bit of acres also, so we have that high aggregated number. So this is new. You can see the full value breakdown in our future drilling potential, which even has our type curve assumptions. So what area is it? What county? What well cost are we assuming? What EURs do we have? This is actually thousands of barrels and thousands of MCF. I need to have Jason change the units there. This is brand new, so there's a couple things here and there, but the data itself is good. If there's multiple type curves, so like for Barnett, this is actually two different Barnetts. So we have the West Texas Barnett and the Dallas area Barnett. So Hood and Montague, those are both Dallas area, while Ector and Midland are the West Texas Barnett. And you can see how we have it broken up into those different type curves. So the type curve being an area that we're expecting an analogous type of well. If you were to drill a new well there, that's the type of well you would expect. So everything we do is based on actual like reserves and economics, and so we have all of this behind everything. So this is what you get in your portfolio. It also gives you a feel how expensive these wells are. Like this is a cheap well, $5 million. A lot of times these 2 mile laterals cost between the completion and the drilling upwards of at least $7 million. So they're good and they're quite the investment. Also, I know last week my chat broke halfway through. So if that happened again this week, I don't know how I'm supposed to know that. So go ahead and just email me and I will monitor my email. Okay, sorry, I was just checking my different Chatteroo systems I have. Okay. Another new feature that we have, I gotta go back to here. On the tracts themselves, again, this is in our portfolio subscription. We have our analytics section that we've now added. So the analytics section includes all the stuff from our Pecan estimate report that we are folding into the subscription. So if you have a portfolio subscription, pretty soon you will see all the stuff, actually it's there right now, that you used to have to buy a report for to see. So this analytics, so risk adjusted sales range, that is this detailed range of if you were, like what to expect if you were to buy or sell or keep the property in different situations. What the taxing office might consider it, what royalties to expect if you don't sell it, all those different things. That is our risk-adjusted sales range. Future drilling potential is that tracks specific numbers for upside. Lease bonus is how if it's not leased, and we also say, hey, this is probably already leased, so just look into that. But if it's not leased, if you're able to get a release of that lease, this is what you could expect based on how much future drilling potential is there. So this is all based, again, from bottoms up. We don't use comps to figure out what to lease for because A, they're hard to come by. Like, that's just not our specialty. B, they're very unique to that particular tract when you are looking at comps, so you have to be able to break it out into the specifics for that, how to compare apples to apples. And if they just lead to bias because it depends on what source you have. You have to make sure you have all the sources, or if you don't have all the sources, it kind of becomes like the issue of polling around elections, where certain polls are more reliable than others because certain polls are connected to only certain people, or they're in certain areas where they only will ask the people that have the same, that want to talk to them, right? And those people might have a bias towards the person they're talking to. And so you have this kind of feedback loop happening on these comps and people who, oh, I know all the people in the area. I know what things are going for because I'm connected to everybody and I just know what things are going for. They're not connected to everybody. They're connected to a lot of people, but they're not connected to everybody. And how do they know? Know all these things. I just get really hesitant to lean on comps at all, but we do calibrate to what the industry is actually seeing. So if we hear what someone is getting and that doesn't line up with what we would expect them to get, we dig into it. Like, what was it? Is it something unique to that property? Is it an area of the country that we need to update our analysis for? Because the industry is constantly evolving and areas are very dynamic and very complex. There's a lot of complexities that just take a bit to uncover. Is there something happening behind the scenes that is sweetening the pot for someone? That it's not fully arm's length. There's something else happening, maybe. It's trying to look into what could be driving that difference if we do see a difference. Sometimes it's even that there's a difference because people are talking apples and oranges. So maybe they're talking, especially on dollar per acre for sales, they might be talking dollar per royalty acre, and we're talking dollar per mineral acre, or their definition of a royalty acre is different than our definition of a royalty acre. That's a very common one. Or the other thing we see all the time is someone says that the values for the producing wells is much different than what they would buy or sell for. And it's because they don't include anything else, any other number but the producing wells. And our producing wells are only considering those producing wells. So the difference there is if I were to sell just that producing well, the only thing I would lose is that producing well's value. and that producing well's revenue. While if I were to sell that entire property that had that producing well on it, I would lose that producing well's like future like revenue and anything else that could ever come out of that property. A lot of times people group those two things together because they don't know how to value the other stuff other than the well. So in this example, if I go to just our dashboard for this tract, about $2,000 of the value is coming from the producing wells, but almost $6,000 of the value is coming from the things that aren't producing. So sometimes people say, oh, I would pay $7,000 for that producing well, but in their mind and in their equations, they're adjusting those wells up to account for the other stuff. While when we say that, oh no, that well's only worth $2,000, they're like, well, that's not what I would value it for. But then we have this other number to add on to it. So once we kind of dig into that, then we usually see that, oh, no, actually we're close, or we have the expected spread that we would, you expect a buyer to come in lower than what market value is, because that's how people get good deals. Let's see, a lot of this stuff hasn't changed yet. We are going to be adding in tract activity, nearby activity, and basin activity. That's coming soon. Jason was showing off some really cool reporting features where you can build components and save components and have like a dynamic library you can select from on like showing tables and graphs and charts that are unique to what you want to see. That's in the works. Looks really cool. Saw the demo of it today. I think a lot of the other stuff on the front end looks very similar. It's probably enough news on our end. Reports. So if you did purchase a report, just as a quick announcement, if you did purchase a report, we do have this little headline on our site. If you did purchase a report, the ability to download that report will be on the front end going away, just because of how some structural things that we need to do in order to roll that into the subscription. We will have all the data still. So if you need a copy of that PDF, just let us know and we can get a copy of that to you. You can download anything you need to in the meantime. Like if you want to save a copy, if you want to print something, like, go for it. That data will still be on the platform. It will just be displayed in different ways. So if you wanted that data in the PDF report format, that's what's going away, is that format. The data itself is getting rolled into all the historicals. So we're not deleting the data. We're not getting rid of it. If you do need that PDF, just let us know. We can output that for you from our methods that we have in the back end. But just letting you all know what this specifically means. Again, we're excited about it, but it is a little change. I wanted to not surprise anybody if they didn't see the reports they purchased here. I guess there is like an export tracks if you wanted to just export the track data. This is now new here. Also some consolidated printing was added. If you want to print all your portfolios at once, you can print all of them at once. Yeah, this is our kind of holding spot for things that we're working on finding a good place for. So maybe check your account settings every now and then to see if there's anything special added that you haven't seen before. I am getting suspicious of the chat because normally I at least get like, if you are watching right now, and I'm pretty sure I can double check that. Yeah, we have viewers. So if you're watching right now, just put anything at all in the chat, because I think chat might be broken again. I'm not entirely sure how to fix it live. Yeah, Aha. Okay, chat's not broken. Hooray. It's just a quiet Friday. I was worried that I was like missing a question or something. And thank you, Jason. This is. Oh, I should ask for y'all to say stuff in the chat more often. There is a delay for sure. Thank you guys for thank you. I can't pronounce this. It's in Russian, but thanks. Appreciate that. Okay. Yeah, thanks for saying something. I was just worried that some like people were putting questions in the chat, and then I was just gonna ramble for an hour and not answer anyone's questions and then frustrate people. So as long as that's not happening, I don't mind rambling if y'all don't mind listening. Let's see. Oh, I'm gonna take this as an opportunity to share. We do have our Minecraft server that we started up. It is a silly thing, I know, especially for grown adults to hear that other grown adults that are professionals have started a Minecraft server. However, it is an oil and gas themed Minecraft server. I spent probably 20 to 25 hours putting together the mods for this server so that it's not normal Minecraft. It's special engineering oil and gas geology Minecraft where there's special add-ons that let you build pump jacks, let you find oil, let you do core analysis to find oil, to know what's underground. Oh, thank you, Lori. Really appreciate that. Because sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to a nothingness. I've been trying to convince the other folks here in the company to get on live streams, but it's very intimidating to get on YouTube, let alone a live stream. So I understand. But yeah, that's so this Minecraft server where my goal is to try to recreate like a real oil field in Minecraft, and then use it as an educational like demo training ground because I enjoy playing it. I got into it because of my daughter. It was something that she asked me to play with her, and then I started enjoying it. I was like, oh, this is actually very relaxing. And then I don't know, it's a very sandboxy type game where you can just make it whatever you want it to be. And yeah, later today, I'm not sure if it's still happening, but we have on the calendar to set up the rest of the team in this Minecraft server. So I'm curious to see if that actually happens because we have so much appraisal work that we're working through right now. A lot of end of year deadlines. Thank you for your patience if you're one of those many people waiting on our appraisals. We are working to get it to you on time, always. But it's the fun part of growth is that the capacity is always just like trying to stay within your budget while still grow means that you're always working a little bit above your capacity. So that's fun around holidays. But it's still on the calendar to do our little Minecraft play session, and I may try to live stream it. So if you see like a random live stream pop up later in the day, that might be what that is. We'll have to see. Oh, thank you. Let's see. Everyone is captivated by your insights and your tech. Yes, that's definitely it. I have just mesmerized everybody by the technology and the insights that I'm giving here. But I'll take it. I will take it, especially on a Friday. It's been a long week. If anyone in the U.S. has kids in school, I'm just like looking at next week where she's out all week, and I'm like, cool. I work from home. That'll be fun. But yeah, that's the joy of being a parent, right? So plan for next week right now, my plan is to do a Tuesday live stream still. I have moved other things around it just to keep that, open. I don't think anything will get in the way of doing it next week. I will have a munchkin home with me. She's technically home with me right now, but she doesn't know I'm doing the live stream, so we're okay. she might have an appearance. But that's also why my dog has not made an appearance, because I had the door closed. But yeah, so the plan is to do a live stream next week. I'm going to go ahead and set that up so that I think if I set it up before I end this live stream, it can like auto recommend the next stream so you have easier time finding it. And we'll use the last 5 minutes if y'all have any last minute questions or comments or anything. Get a little entertainment music going while I set up that live stream part. Do we have any industry people? People who are part of the oil and gas industry on the live today? Schedule stream. Want to reuse settings. What's next Tuesday's date? It is the 25th. Wow, live stream number 29 will be the next one. Same time, same place, so noon Central Time. Okay, so just scheduled it. Jason says he's new to the space, working on launching landman tech. What type of tech? Like probably inner office, or not, like, you know, company stuff, right? Or is it stuff I could use? We're always looking for more landman tech. Okay, so we can go to here, edit. Wait, no. This is live stream 29. Next week is live stream number 30. Holy cow. Time flies. Okay. Save. Industry hopefuls rather than industry people. Some would actually say we're technically people per se. Yeah, I think most of the people watching are technically people. Correct. So industry hopefuls, I'm going to interpret that as student. So welcome. That is a fun time trying to figure out what the heck this industry is doing. That's for sure. It took me probably, I don't know, at least 5 years to feel like I wasn't still in college after I graduated. And then I took the PE exam, and that whole process just makes you feel like you know even less than before you studied and took it. So yeah, I feel like I've been just losing knowledge. Not even losing knowledge, but just like my knowledge has been going up slower than the knowledge of things I don't know. So I just feel like there's perpetually a bigger gap than my knowledge of things I do know. But all right, that is the live stream for today. Thank you for joining us. If you would like to join our Minecraft server, it is a public open server. You can feel free to also design your own oil and gas company and see if you can make it more complex and interesting than my own. I can send the link to our server. So if you're nerdy like I am, more the merrier. We'll catch you next week. Happy Thanksgiving if not, and thanks for joining. All right. Bye.